medicine. I'm sure many of you are acquainted with the badger tooth medicine because it was such a political fight over gas and oil leases, which ultimately they vacated those, so that was a great thing. So the great maker sent Old Man Napi down to create the earth, and so that's where it all took place. Old Man Napi.
Old Napi's father's son, by the moon he began the south, and all you soon he was making the forces, making the curves, making the mountains, making the world. He did all this journey for the bright water from the streams that travel above. He said some waterfalls, rocks, and rivers, and sweet trees. Old Man Napi, all the birds, rivers, and trees. Old Man Napi, all the bats and the honeybees. Take another look around. Everything that can be found, we make you dream on the hill. So Old Man Napi, when he saw all the animals running by, decided to create a bubble in a giant toe. What do you do with the hell when we meet the fish in the water? Everybody learn about fire, down in the bubble, the birds and say, Old Man Napi, more about the love that you can't see. Old Man Napi, a horse gentle as he can be. Take another look around. Everything that can be found, a big man can create it all the human need. Old Man Napi. Said go away by myself to the mountain stream, wait for a vision, maybe a dream. If you will be strong, your heart is true. So every powers will come to you. One day man will come from the east, changing the world, stirring the beast. And I want every to be strong, happy and true. Old Man Napi, more people at the burning sea. Old Man Napi, try to live in harmony. Taking a look around, everything that can be found, we make it live all the human needs. Old Man Napi, oh, we make it all the human needs. Just as it's fine, how much better could this all be? Old Man Napi.
My first instrument was really banjo. I made the starting five as a sophomore in basketball. Just before a tournament, I was really nervous. So I just happened to be thumbing through the Sears and Roebuck catalog. And so I saw that you can get a Sears super tone banjo for $39.95. So I went to my mother and I said, "Hey Mom, if you pony up $20 and split this with me, I'll get this banjo and learn how to play it for you." And so she did, and that's kind of what started this whole thing. And last December, when I was inducted to the University of Montana actually the Montana Musicians Hall of Fame, I was hoping that I was saying that I wish she would have been there so she could have seen the return on her investment. This is one of the first songs I learned, and for some reason the song has not disappeared off the set list. It's It's called Shady Grove. This is actually a really old folk song, and I'm sure you've heard many other artists do it. How those times I played it, I started off on the wrong string.
Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to town. Cheeks as red as a flamingo, as deep as mine. If I'm not in my heart, steady settles down. Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to town. First time I saw Shady Grove, standing by the door, shoes and stockings in her hand, lit the barefoot on the floor. Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to town. Beaches in the summertime, apples on the floor. If I can't have my own tutu, we don't have none at all. Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to town. Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to go back. Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to town. Shady Grove, my tutu, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my tutu, going back to town. Oh, Shady Grove.
I got a call from Michael Murphy, who he's recorded a number of my songs. And he invited me out to New York City to do a songwriting session with him, and he was playing at the Rainbow in New York. And he was staying on the 36th floor of a skyscraper. And it's kind of ironic because the song we wrote was close to the land. We couldn't have been farther from the land if we tried, unless we were in space. And anyway, after we finished the song, I flew back home and did a demo of it. And everybody kind of forgot about it. About several months later, I get a call from work and says, "Rob, what about that song? You have a demo?" And I said, "Yeah, he sent it down." So he recorded it, and it went on quite a journey. First thing that happened is it won Song of the Year for the Texas Music Awards. And I had a lot of my Boston buddies say, "Rob, come on down here, we'll write songs about the Lone Star State." I'm thinking, yeah, like, that's everything I have. And then, of course, it became the theme song for this national public television show called America's Heartland. And then he re-recorded on a bluegrass album, which won a Grammys, or actually it didn't win the Grammy, it was nominated. I think Steve Martin and his bunch actually won the Grammy night before it. But anyway, I was raised on a ranch, and Murph's grandparents had a ranch, so we kind of wrote about those traditions, the rural traditions of people. This is called Close to the Land.
Wait for the sun comes up, already on his second cup. Looking out across the open sky. Streaks of orange, pink and gray, wash over the fields of the morning. Strange land fills the cowboy's heart with pride. And he rises slowly from his chair, his back is stiff, raising his hair. Brother Billy longs to see sun. It's not my much to complain. He saddles up and takes the reins, right into his work when he is done. And you can see it in the eyes of every woman and man once they spend their whole life living close to the land. There's a life for the country, fighting the brand. It's in the eyes of the people living close to the land. In America's heartland, close to the land. When the sun is high overhead, she's just made of resounding. Still another work for two to do. Pulling weeds and touching Jesus, keep faith with touching Jesus. She does a man's work, a must do. But she ride on the tractor, about her stock, fix the truck and feed the flock. Somehow cook some roses from ground. She hasn't got a thing to prove. She simply does what she must do from early morning till the sun goes down. You can see in the eyes of every woman and man once they spend their whole lives living close to the land. There's a life for the country, pride in the brand. It's in the eyes of the people living close to the land. In America's heartland, close to the land. because heartland first to there's something that the people do to think things live, make things grow, to turn in the birds, they sing. And the sea touched the earth, the planet seeds and giving birth, the human heart can never come of age. You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man, once they spend their whole lives living close to the land. There's a life for the country, tied in the ground. It's in the eyes of the people living close to the land. You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man, once they spend their whole lives living close to the land. There's a life for the country, abide in the ground. It's in the eyes of the people living close to the land. Remember, because heartland goes to the land. Thank you. As I mentioned, I grew up in Whitefish County. And from the time I was a little kid, we had this tradition that happened once a month on a Saturday night. Our whole family would load up the car and we would go up to this old hall called Hayday Hall for a square dance. And all the whole northern part of the county would come to this, and it was just the greatest time. I think one of my earliest memories as a little toddler was falling asleep when we go to the kitchen. And then as I grew older, I got to dance with all the cutest girls in the county and learned my first dance steps. The thing I loved about it is that the whole family would come to this function and dance and celebrate together. Nowadays, it seems like our families are really splintered from each other. You know, the parents go to the bar, the kids to the teen club, and the little ones stay home and babysitter. But I love the fact that this was a whole family celebration. My daughter and I talk about, taking our whole band and going on tour with something we're going to call the Great American Barn Dance Revival. So here's a song that talks all about those days. This is a song called Have a Little Fun Tonight. Anybody having any fun tonight? That's good. Well, the Hoover shot like the county fair, the ladies humming, Jordan Lee's kids in the barn, and it's all nice, gonna have a little fun tonight. Got the brand new pair of cowboy boots, gonna dance all night, we got hoops, get the pistols on the heat, but that's all right, gonna have a little fun tonight. Hey, out there, oh, come on, let's do something. The rain ain't been and the moon is shining bright. Well, the children singing and the fiends screeching, the boys unite, and I just think we're gonna have a little fun tonight. Pretty dress on a fly like a barefoot girl, with green eyes, smells like in the summertime, having a little fun night. the tips of the rest. The fox is swinging on a little watermelon, drinking on the future. Looks so sweet. Just tease back on a happy little fun guy. Hey, yeah, there, ah, come on, let's do something. The rain ain't been and the moon ain't shining bright. But the children singing and the fields screeching, the boys delight. And I'm just sitting on the happy little fun guy. But the children are singing and the fields screeching, the boys delight. And I'm sitting on a happy little fun night. Hey, yeah, ah, come on, let's do something. The rain ain't been and the moon is shining bright. But the children are singing and the fields screeching, the boys delight. And I'm sitting on a happy little fun night. But the children are singing and the fields screeching, country boys delight. That's just how this is. We'll have a little fun tonight. Let's have some fun. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just for some fun. Thank you. When I was in college, I played with this group called the New Sky Singers. 3 of us went on to have musical careers. One became the lead baritone for the Seattle Opera Company for 8 years. And the other guy had just the most beautiful lyric tenor voice and was an award-winning choir director. But the third guy, we knew that his wife was not going to be a band wife, and so he became a lawyer and then a federal judge. But he always knew the fact that they didn't have a musical career. So when he retired, I said, "Geez, you know, a federal judge knows as much as you do. Let's do an album." And so the album's entitled 50 Years of What I Gave. I wrote the title song. It was 50 years after I joined the group. And so the song I want to do from that album is one that I wrote. I didn't write this song, it's a Ken Mo song. And I really wanted to tease my wife. If my wife wanted, she's one of the biggest teasers on the planet. She can just say the most outrageous things to you and smile and you're going to get away with it. You know the tactics is, right? So I found this song and I thought, this is the perfect way to get back at it. So I want to sing this song to you married guys. And maybe even join in on the chorus with me once you kind of get the idea. When I first laid eyes on you, I swore I'd do anything. I'd let you clean me up, fix me up just to get you in my little bed. Now I'm having second thoughts, writing you this letter, 'cause I'm scared to tell you to your face. I like to know me better, I like to know me better. I see you're the only one I've ever loved. You've been a perfect fit, just like a hand in glove. Now sitting here, thinking about the past it's bad. Treat me tall like I see. I like gold, sing it out. Thank you. About 6 years ago, I was approached by the marketing director for the Empire Builder. And he asked if I would be interested in writing a song on the Empire Builder for the 70th anniversary. And I've always been into trains. I think one of my earliest memories is when I was on the ranch. I would climb up to the top of the ranch house, which was this big old ranch house. And first of all, it had the best view because it was so flat out there. Second of all, my dad couldn't find me if I tried to get out of chores for a little while. But on a cold day, which is a rare thing in Cutbank, Montana, you can actually hear the Great Northern steaming across the Silver Flats. And that was about 15 miles away. So it was a great honor to write this song. And so when I sent it over to the marketing director, he said, boy, we like this song so much, we're going to make a video out of it. So they shined at this Superliner, sent it all the way out from Seattle, and they sent it to Glacier Park, and then flew around it with helicopters, getting all these incredible shots as it's going through Glacier Park. Of course, I didn't want to make it just a real dry song about a documentary. And so I decided to make it a love song about two people who meet on the Empire Builder and get to go to all these places like Glacier National Park. And just like to do it for you now. I will say that our long distance trains are really in danger. Some of these people are really trying to limit the train to where you couldn't go on a long distance train ride, where you'd have to go to a certain destination, get off the train, ride the bus for a couple hours to the next spot, and then get back on again. Who wants to do that, right? I know. I just attended a meeting in this a couple months ago, where they're trying to resurrect the wonderful style of come along now. I did before or so. That's going to happen. Anyway, this is the song that we're about to be on. It's called Rolling Forever. There's me, you stepped up over a superstar. You sat down in the sun. I knew that the train left. Soon it would become our favorite story. It was all brand new. It was brand new. So as you cross They contacted a lot of Montana poets to contribute to this video. And so he asked me to do a poem about how Montana is changing. And so I thought, now how do I say this without upsetting a lot of people? So this is for Tack. She's been called a lady. Let me sing her praise. If you fail to see the logic of them, let me count the ways. Her seamless hair is red and gold in evening sunsets light. I've always thought her mountains looked especially good and bright. Her gown is lush green when she attends the annual springtime ball. She fancies orange and gold with harvest moon and fall. Her wild and natural beauty, it could take away your breath. But she's taken her for granted. It could easily end in your death. She's slow to grant her faces to come lately into their faces. Until long time seems, she reveals her hidden secret places. She lives in sleepy time splendor. She's the heart of the golden west. And we live within her care, infinitely blessed. Yes. But when those who come with schemes of ways to use her, to sell her body like a harlot, to cheapen and abuse her. If you've sworn your love for her, revere, respect her. If you're a man of honor, you must cherish and protect her. And she should be failed in this task. Hold this sister to treasure. She should be failed as laid in her love. Live forever. She's the stillest of the lady, the golden center of age. She scares me when I'm with her, I'll without her out. She's a lady come to tell, brings a tear up to my mind. From the plains of powder river, the mountains of beautiful. It'll take you 15 lifetimes to ever see it all. She's in love with the lady, she's mine inside. She's a lady come to tell me, oh, she's nice and she's fine. When I lay in the California seaside, and now you tell me I'm sorry. And those big people in New York City, but the lady come to tell me, she keeps calling me. So I need to tell you about this feeling, the voices can't explain. She's the sweetest of the lady, don't you ever come around her, if you don't last to stay. As the lady come to tell her, Lord, she's still around. we have time for one more before we start the evening's, two more, he says. 2 more songs, okay? All right. I was down in San Francisco doing a concert, and on our break, the stage manager said, there's a gentleman who'd like to speak with you. I said, well, show him back to the dressing room. So this guy walks in a 3-piece suit and introduced himself, and he said he was with the Foot Cone Belding advertising agency, and would I be interested in writing a jingle for the Levi's 501 Jeans Company? I said, I don't know, man, I'm kind of a Wrangler guy. And he said, well, let me tell you who else. It's not really so much a jingle as just write a whole song, and we're going to make a CD. And here's who else is doing it. They've got Jerry Garcia and Tony Braxton, the Gin Blossoms, the Four Non Blondes, all these great groups. I said, you're kidding, right? And so, and he said, you know, you can, normally when you write these things, you have like an ad, it's that guy leaning over your shoulder. Can you put your dependability in there? Please, Bob, it doesn't sing very well. So he said, no, this guy said, no, you can pretty much say what you want, and if you want to mention Levi's a time or two, that'd be great. My family will tell you I'm kind of the pusher of the family because of my penchant for time, so I got to go a little crazy on this one. I call this song Eugene Love Affair, so here's the song I'm dedicating to those of you who have a favorite pair of jeans, which is everybody, right? Just a prayer for you. My love is like my fire. All kind of brothers and sisters, but we faded in time. You know I never did you any other, but it's a true love affair. Be perfect. My love is like my fire. My baby, I want you. Off the cuff, sometimes it's tough. Crazy father, singing with your hand. But I prove it all, overstated, manifest, and if you ever breathe, baby, on you. 2 years of summer, you can't lose all the time. Gave up on it, and the vision of the sun. If I can think about moving, I love is like my fire. Come on, baby. To do a Mission on Wood Band song. So I'm going to pull out the very first song that we normally it takes a whole band to do this, but we're gonna go do this without a net. And the history of the song is that Stephen and I
first, we're putting Mission Logo Band together, and we decided that Terry Robinson would be the perfect guy. You know, a tall guy, great voice, and a lot of charisma. So we went to his house. He was actually driving spikes on the railroad at that time, what you call being a gandy dancer. And he just loved it, you know. It was just, he'd put a little pinch between his cheek and gum and go out there with his high-speed cap and spend time with his buddies. Driving spikes out in the beauty of Montana. So we met him at this little cabin, which was right on Rattlesnake Creek. So if you know Steve, you know he's probably one of the most persuasive guys you've ever met. So Steve was kind of putting him on about how we had this tour going, we could get this tour going. He had a brother in New York and help us out. And so we could see that Steve wasn't getting to him. And so he said, well, I don't know, man, I really like my job at the railroad. And so we said, well, Steve said, well, okay, we'll think about it. So we looked at each other and turned toward the door, and I had a thought. I said, Terry, there's one thing you should know about being a musician. He said, you meet an awful lot of really beautiful women. And I saw this little gleam kind of glow in his eye. I got it. And so we came back next week, we sat down, we learned this next song. Since that time, we started every concert with this song. It was an old blues tune that was pretty slow, but in our Mission Mountain style, we put a lot of heat to it. It's kind of an audience participation song. So, kind of a call and response, so close enough for bluegrass. All right, let's see how you do, Whitefish. Impressive. Doesn't it feel better? Shut the door and lock it at you. Here comes Lizzie with a brand new hat. Jump like a fish, jump like a porpoise, all join hands in habeas corpus. When the chords in the band Hades, the static neat, and swing right back. festivities, everybody. Thank you so much.
It's like the people that just camped out front of it. That was good. Did you have to show anyone? Yeah, I had a friend, she used to be like, I didn't do it. I guess it doesn't matter for the next few minutes, right? Let's have a big round of applause for Rock Twist. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll go in about 5 minutes. And that was David Griffiths doing some mean nailing. Unbelievable stuff. Everywhere.
to get things going here. If everyone could find a seat. This is always the time of the night where I have to use my principal voice, and we have to quiet everyone down. Right, Ryan? Please. The front row is very loud. Class, says Rob. So you just got a taste of the magic guitar. Do you feel those vibes coming out of that speaker? You'll learn more about the magic guitar in a little bit. But here we are, issue number 29, Whitefish Review. Thanks for being here. It's a real pleasure. My name is Brian Schott. I founded this journal with my best friends and family 17 years ago. We just figured out tonight. We're coming up on 17 years. Incredible. You have seen the books. We are so proud of this issue. It was a real experiment in terms of how we put this together. It was the most complicated issue we've ever put together. Ian Griffiths, our graphic designer, put this book together. Mike Tallman is the poster artist. We have custom screen prints for sale. I hope everyone leaves here at least with a book tonight. And these posters are unbelievable. I think Lindsay was doing a raffle for one of them too, if we did get some tickets. I gotta thank my team. First I want to thank the Lodge. The Lodge at Whitefish Lake, amazing sponsors for the event. Thank you, Lodge. Thank you, staff. You guys are incredible. Unbelievable. And the Whitefish Community Foundation. We just finished up a round of fundraising through the Great Fish Community Challenge. I really do not believe we would be in existence today without the work we've done with the Whitefish Community Foundation, the Great Fish Community Challenge. It's been an incredible windfall for us in terms of the grassroots support we've had from people, and we just wrapped up over $40,000 worth of fundraising in the Great Fish. I'm going to quickly run through my team. My orchestra managers, Ryan Freeland, Mike Powers. My stage manager, Lindsay Schott. The rhythm aficionado, Ian Griffiths. Heavy metal director of fiction, Matt Holloway. R&B director of poetry, Lowell Yeager. We got our jazz art editors, Adam Blue and Monica Pastor. Rock and roll photo editor, Kristen Binder. On strings, our editor at large, Rick Bass. The woodwind section, incredible. Our senior editors, Ashley Ananda, Rita Brown, Scott Dreyer, Sarah Erickson, Jeff Giles, Katie Jensen, Tara Kramer, Keith Liggett, Kelsey Perkins. And on percussion, we have our summer intern, Sarah Gunlickson, who helped us this summer. Sarah's in the room tonight. She just flew out from California at Pepperdine. Sarah was a tremendous asset to us this summer. I think she learned a little bit about what the sausage making factory does for a little literary journal. I just can't thank you enough, and thanks for being here, Sarah. All right, we're going to do it. We are always proud to focus on young talent. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to Bjorn Bungener, a sophomore at Whitefish High School. He enjoys a lot of sports, but what he likes most is playing the trombone in the Whitefish High School Wind Ensemble. He wrote an essay called The Metal Miracle, and you are in for a treat. So let's bring up Bjorn.
So my name is Bjorn. I'm not a sophomore anymore. I wrote this, I'm a junior now, but I wrote this freshman year in Miss Nikki Reed's class. Hi, Miss Reed. She was actually telling us all about the Whitefish Review and how great it was, and she made us write an essay about whatever we wanted. And on a whim, I decided to, well, write this essay and then submit it to the great publishing area that is the Whitefish Review. And it got published. here's featured young author, and this is the essay I wrote, The Metal Miracle. So a trombonist sits down at a concert. He stares at the David Maslenko piece he's about to play and feels prepared. He patiently waits for the conductor to start the band, raises the brass instrument to his lips, and plays. To a person wanting to hear a beautiful musical chorale, it might seem as if the sound has been magically produced. But a physicist would know precisely what is happening, down to the molecular scale. The moment a brass player blows air versus his or her lips on the mouthpiece of a trombone, a marvelous effect takes place. This effect is why people take to the skies, and why race cars have spoilers. Named after Swiss mathematician David Bernoulli in 1738, the Bernoulli effect is a physics principle that proves that when a fluid increases in speed, it decreases in pressure or potential energy. Conversely, if a fluid increases in pressure, it decreases in speed. This is why the wings of air are rounded on top. I'll show this look a little bit. Basically, this is a shape of airplane. It's rounded on top. The air goes above it. It has to move faster because the air is wings move at speed. So the air is faster, which means it decreases the pressure. According to the Bernoulli effect, the air below the wing moves at the same speed. So this have a lot of pressure here, a little bit of pressure here. So all that pressure here wants to go into this area. It's a lift, which is why airplanes can fly. Conversely, race cars have spoilers shaped like this. It's opposite of an airplane wing. So as this top air has high pressure above and there's low pressure below, this allows it to go down, which is why race cars go so fast around corners, because they have such inverse lift, I guess, keeping them glued to the ground. So the Bernoulli effect also applies to brass musicians' lips. When the lips are open, fast air creates a low pressure zone that the lips are then sucked into, which causes the pressure to increase, which causes the lips to open again. This creates a vibration of fluid, which is just sound. So as an example, there's things called free buzzing, and this is what it looks like. Of course, if you contain it into a container, it gets easier to do. And then, the bigger the container, the easier the notes will play. That's how brass musicians. Yet sound produced do more than just stay there. They travel through the tube and exit the other side with the bell of the instrument. It's this big part right here. The bell is almost always bigger than the original tube. The brass instrument's bell is a critical component of augmenting the volume of the instrument, helping to form a much louder sound than most other instruments. If you have ever been in an environment where multiple wind instruments are playing, you might have noticed that the brass instruments are typically placed in the back of the orchestra. This is because they're the loudest of the wind instruments. Why, you may ask? Simply because of the bell. The bell is where the sound produced hits the air surrounding us. The bell allows the number of air molecules that transfer the energy of sound to grow exponentially, increasing the amplitude of the sound, and therefore the volume. An analogy to this is moving a rectangular brick. The brick represents air. Which you think would make the brick move more if you hit it with the same amount of force? The tip of a pencil or a flat board? Obviously the board. The same thing applies to the bell and air. Tip of the pencil represents a tube without a bell. The board represents a brass instrument with a bell. Since the bell can move more air, it is louder. Therefore, it is almost always at the back of the instrument. Basically, this is harder to do than this. There are also many different types of brass instruments. One of these instruments is the trombone, as presented at the beginning of this essay. Another type of brass instrument is the trumpet. One of the main differences between the trombone and the trumpet is their tube length. This plays a vital role in determining their repertoires. To understand this, I invite you to a thought experiment. Take a string, pull it tight, and then pluck it. This should make a note. Then take a shorter string and pluck it in the same way. This should also create a note, but a few pitches higher. To understand this, one must understand what sound is. Sound is a wave. The frequency of this wave determines the pitch of the note. When you pluck a string, you create a wave. And the wave will be bigger if you have a longer string. Therefore, the wavelength will be longer, and since the long and short strings generate a sound that is traveling at the same speed, the frequency will be lower on the longer string. Therefore, the note will be lower. Reminder of what frequency is. Frequency is the number of ways that have a fixed point in a certain amount of time. Frequency has a big influence on note pitch for brass instruments. The main idea is that the longer the tune, the lower the frequency of the instrument played. This is why trumpets usually sound higher than trombones. The tube length of a trombone is quite long, around 9 feet, possibly longer, and a trumpet is shorter than a trombone, about 6.5 feet. This makes it so a trumpet can play higher notes, because a higher frequency pitch has more waves at a specific amount of time, more molecules are moving, therefore more heat is being generated, taking energy out of the sound and converting it to heat. This explains why lower frequencies can travel far lower than higher frequencies. The formula for calculating the frequency based on the tube length for a tube open at both ends is as follows. The frequency of a harmonic is equal to the velocity over the wavelength of a harmonic, represented by the Greek letter lambda, which is also equal to the harmonic times the velocity over twice the length of the tube. Let's see, this is the formula. If I have something, if I put the slide here, it plays the note. But if I move it down, it goes lower. That way, since the tube is longer, the frequencies get longer, and it plays a lower note. And what a harmonic is, a harmonic is a certain amount of notes that you can play in a single slide length. So these can range anywhere from the almost inaudibly low to the audible to the almost inaudibly high. So we can see that the larger the tube length, the lower the frequency, and the lower the frequency, the lower the note. An instrument takes advantage of this by different instruments have different tube lengths, so the frequency will be different. This is why a tuba is way lower than a trumpet, because a tuba has a considerably longer tube. Of course, these three concepts only scratch the surface of all the juicy physics that take part in making sound on a brass instrument. I encourage anybody to continue searching for concepts that govern our music. As a trombone player, I experience firsthand these effects, and I'm constantly surrounded by people who know about them. But I encourage people to look online or talk to people and find out more about the physics and music, because there's a bunch of cool physics in those instruments, that instrument, even the speakers, and even how words are coming out of my mouth right now. Because, as Brian Tarsi said, those people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and their lives will be the movers and shakers in our society for the indefinite future. Thank you.
Well, you just met one of those movers and shakers. Look for this guy later in life, for sure. Bjorn, that was incredible. I love it. I love your smile. I love your style. You're going places. We interviewed a Pulitzer Prize winner in music in this issue, and I hope you read that interview, because he never thought he would win the Pulitzer in music when he was your age. All right, amazing. We are going to keep moving. We are going to bring up a later generation, Glenn Schiffman. He's got a book called Life in the Fast Lane. He wrote this amazing piece in this issue called Take Another Little Piece of My Heart. And without further ado, here's Glenn Schiffman.
I condensed down a few pages into about 800 words, and I need bigger type than I can, so we're on the page here. I want to thank everybody who's here tonight for coming out and supporting the Whitefish Review. This is a very fine literary journal that's known internationally, and it's a credit to this community. I am very grateful and honored to have a little piece of my heart to be included in this. And I don't have a trombone, but my prop tonight is a Grateful Dead t-shirt.
says October 21st, 22nd, Fillmore Auditorium. So I've had it a while. Janice is dead. I can still see those words as the banner line on the front page, above the fold, top right column of the San Francisco Chronicle on October 5, 1970. I read the copy, read it again with wet eyes. The words tore into my heart. Soul-shaking sadness punched my gut. I know her now. We were friendly acquaintances. Our paths crossed many times. Sometimes she knew my name. Sometimes she was so loaded she couldn't distinguish me from any other person on the street. I first met Janice in June 1966 in San Francisco. I walked down the 2-block hill from Magnolia Thunder Pussy's ice cream parlor at the corner of Haight and Ashbury and onto an open pitch of Golden Gate Park, over the Panhandle, following the sound of the Grateful Dead, who were playing for free to several hundred hippies. As I stood near the front of the band's flatbed trailer stage, I eyeballed this tie-dyed, floozy-looking chick who's standing next to me. And even though I had been living in San Francisco for 9 months at that point, I said, I'm not in Kansas anymore. Nor do I want to be. I want to be right where I am. I thought that was a good pickup line. Honey, she snorted, Kansas ain't nothing. You want hell on earth? Try Port Arthur, Texas. Minutes later, she climbed up on a flatbed trailer and belted out a set with a band called Big Brother and the Holding Company. I played a 4-string guitar and performed in a folk band in college. That's not saying much, but even I recognized that Janice was not totally in sync with the mind-expanding style of Big Brother. Janice fronted them in '67 and '68, but they never really resolved their aesthetic differences. All human souls yearn for beauty, but Janice hungered for the deeper and darker beauty of the blues. Willie Mae, Big Mama Thornton, Etta James, and Odetta formed her musical background and roots. Janis Joplin and I were born a month apart in 1943. Go ahead, do the math. When our generation was in our 20s, the decade between John Kennedy's assassination and Richard Nixon's resignation, we experienced a particularly searing time period. And as countercultural rebels, we helped lead the seismic upheaval that caused many Americans to reevaluate our collective understanding of identity, sensory experience, and sensuality. That Richter scale shift was expressed in the music of the second half of the 1960s. The Black Power movement informed the intelligence of jazz fusion. Bob Dylan's and Joan Baez's consciousness songs were played loud and clear on FM radio stations from dorm rooms from Columbia to Berkeley. In San Francisco, White Rabbit and Yellow Submarine were anthems sung at protest rallies. The country rock music that scene in Los Angeles totally overwhelmed the sensibility of Pat Boone singing Little Richard songs. Some of you might remember that. Pat Boone singing Tutti Frutti? Yeah. From England, raunchy, eardrum-bleeding heavy metal bands migrated to America and shook things up even further. Yeah, the music of the second half of the 60s rocked the world. And in the middle of it all, for only 3.5 years, was heard the indiscreet, audacious, heart-wrenching, soulful voice of Janis Joplin. Rolling Stone magazine ranked Janis number 4 in the top 10 rock and roll vocalists of the 60s. The first 3 were males. And put her on the cover 4 times between February 1968 and November 1970. I was not in San Francisco by accident. I was a graduate student in the creative writing department at San Francisco State University. From late 65 to 67, my girlfriend and I rented a 1-bedroom apartment 8 zigzag blocks from Hayden Ashbury. Janis's digs were in the 600 block of Ashbury. The Grateful Dead lived communally at 710 Ashbury. That's where I, during my quest for certain controlled substances, became a recognizable long-haired hippie to Janis. "You're all right," she told me one time from the front steps of 710 Ashbury. "You drink Boilermakers." Janis blasted into the culture's heart in June of 1967 with her stunning performance at the Monterey Pop Festival. Hearing her rendition of Ball and Chain, Columbia Records producer and president Clive Davis said, "She made me intensely aware and excited about the new and future direction of music, and she uniquely personified contemporary rock music in spirit, in talent, and in personality." In December 1966, Janis and Big Brother cut an album during time off from a tour gone bust. Their Chicago label, Mainstream Records, didn't release the album until after the Monterey Pop Festival. Whereupon, just weeks later, Columbia Records bought Mainstream Records, added 2 songs to the album, put Janis on the cover, and re-released it. The album never topped number 60 on the Billboard's charts, but Down on Me, the single that got all the airplay, made it into the top 40. And now I can hear her singing it in my head right now. And that's because I got to see her perform live. Live, Janis Joplin was incomparable, one of a kind. Now I'm going to stop here, but you can buy the review and read about the Summer of Love, read about Woodstock, the tragedy at Altamont, and the making of the Pearl album. And by the way, thanks to YouTube, you can watch clips of Janis in her live performances. Thank you very much.
That was great, Glenn. Thank you so much. I like your style. Sell some journals for us here. It's a great essay. I hope you can crack it open and relive that time with Glenn. Amazing. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. We have Natalie Story, who is gonna come up. And actually, funny enough, Natalie walked in earlier. I was like, I have to go introduce myself to Natalie, and then I got distracted. So we haven't actually even met each other yet. So hi, Natalie. Natalie came over from Havre, Montana. She wrote this really cool piece of fiction. It's called Fan Fiction, and she's going to give you a taste of that right now. Natalie.
I actually came from Butte. I escaped Havre. It's hard to do. No, I used to live in Havre, but I recently escaped. Thank you. I've been trying to get in the Whitefish Review for years, and I feel like I have submitted pieces that were way more traditional fiction-y than this, and I'm just so stoked that this is the issue I'm in, and it's so beautiful, and the table of contents is rad, and thank you so much. Okay, I'll try not to embarrass myself, I probably will. Okay, fan fiction. I should say, I lived in Livingston, Montana for a long time, and my short story collection is all based on that town, even though I was told to change the name. So I won't mention the name here, but just, you know. But anyway, being from Whitefish, y'all might, some things might sound familiar. 1, I met my first John Mayer groupie one summer when I waited tables at the Palace, a Montana bar with a large display of taxidermy, including a stuffed grizzly bear, a badger, a mountain lion, a bighorn sheep, and a mink in a vitrine. The groupie was about 20 years old, extremely attractive, and had come to town from Yellowstone National Park, where she worked in a hotel over the winter. She'd heard John Mayer lived nearby and thought she might meet him by waitressing in the bar. She had Wonderland tattooed in cursive underneath her left clavicle and right above her miraculous rack. Because it advertised itself as a historic bar, I don't think she realized at first how much the Palace had declined since it opened 100 years before. I'd worked there for 3 summers and had never seen John Mayer. I was pretty sure he went to a fancier place in town. The Palace had the sort of customers who broke off and stole the stuffed badger's toes or the bear's claws. That part's true. We served drinks in plastic cups, never glass. John Mayer's groupie was a good waitress who didn't swill Evan Williams on shift or eat Molly with the cooks after work. That summer, the cooks kept busy molding the mashed potatoes into the shapes of penises while I took extra tables because the waitress who did swill Evan Williams often abandoned hers without warning. Once I found her sitting in the cooler on top of a huge bucket of pickles, eyeliner running in purple streaks down her cheeks. I ate mushrooms last night, I'm still tripping balls, she said, clinging to the plastic lid of the bucket. Can you take my tables? Thank you for laughing. Yeah, what choice did I have? I didn't really have time to stalk the town's many celebrities, is what I'm saying. And I didn't pay much attention to where John Mayer ate. Since I grew up in town, I was pretty suspicious of his kind. In high school, I worked at the Dairy Queen and despised Dennis Quaid for ordering at the drive-thru with a megaphone. That's true, just so you know. Hello, Dairy Queen, this is Dennis Quaid, he'd announced to everyone within blocks of the drive-thru as if the whole town should care. That, along with everything that rises, was too much. See, I had these thoughts a long time ago, way back in high school, sweating in my DQ shirt, way before Kevin Costner started telling his versions of our sad stories too. Maybe Hollywood thinks we're all sad hicks and Dennis Quaid was just trying to cheer us up with his megaphone antics, but it nearly blew out your eardrum if you happened to be standing by the drive-thru speaker. What I'm saying is I expected famous people to be arrogant and dumb from it. Back when I worked at the Palace with John Mayer's groupie, I despised the musician because of his comments about Montana lacking sexuality, and because so many people talked about seeing him or wanting to see him. People had a twisted competition to say the weirdest thing to John Mayer or get the funniest selfie with him. I wanted to know, did he name that album Paradise after he realized he was wrong about the sexuality thing? He writes some sappy songs, so how is it possible for him to be one of those men who doesn't understand sensuality is the best part of sex, the best part of living, of the world, of Montana? Had he never noticed how the huckleberries in certain patches taste slightly of forest fire ash? Had he never skinny dipped in a cold neon blue alpine lake? Had he never sat in a hot springs pool during a spring snowstorm and felt the big soft flakes melt on his steamy skin? I guess John Mayer imagined a woman's body as a wonderland, but never a landscape alive like a woman's body. Later, in a different bar, the waitress who loved John Mayer finally got to meet him. She started to cry, so he gave her a hug. I know because she snapped a selfie with him and showed it to me like she'd won a trophy. In it, John Mayer is giving a peace sign and bedroom eyes. 2. In my dreams, John Mayer invites me to his house for a party, and I'm very confused. Is he for real? Me? Nevertheless, I accept the invitation. I drive my car to a large iron gate in front of an underground tunnel. There's a camera. Suddenly a stack of books appears in my hands. I look down at them and see the one on top is Another Country by James Baldwin. I hold the stack of books up to the camera. Something clicks, the gate swings open, and I'm led into the dark tunnel. John Mayer has a house like the Batcave. An array of lava lamps and bongs decorate the shelves of the receiving room. Speakers somewhere deep in the house play When Doves Cry. I turn a corner. It's true. I turn a corner and John Mayer appears, lying across the blue couch like a cat, smiling like a boy. I still have one book in my hands. I have no idea why it's this particular book, Another Country. I remember Baldwin said love is another country. So I read to John Mayer from the book as he lounges on the couch listening. To remember her, I start, was to remember the jukebox, the teasing, the dancing, the hard-on, the gang fights and gang bangs, his first set of drums bought him by his father, his first taste of marijuana, his first snort of horse. It was to remember a beat, the beat, hands, feet, tambourines, drums, pianos, laughter, curses, razor blades, the man stiffening with a laugh and a growl and a purr, and the woman moistening and softening with a whisper and a sigh and a cry. The beat in Harlem in the summertime, one could almost see it, shaking above the pavements and the roof. 3. John Mayer appears as if in an ad for an animal shelter, but this one isn't sad and doesn't have any Sarah McLachlan songs. 5 or 6 kittens crawl all over him. He should do this. He wears a chunky wool sweater, and the kittens cling to it with desperate kitten claws, mewing. Guy that's holding his hat over his face. Okay. I used to be a high school English teacher, so I would always get distracted by 1 or 2 kids in the room, so I'll just ignore it. He wears a chunky wool sweater, and the kittens cling to it with desperate kitten claws, mewing. These kittens are of every color and persuasion: black, white, tortoiseshell, and of course, orange. Behind John Mayer sits boxes overflowing with kittens, some stretching and clawing, others crouching, hiding, others endlessly mewing. John Mayer turns to me, kittens driving him wild. He says, "Do you want a kitty?" I'm almost miffed that he's asking because everyone knows I'm a one-cat sort of woman, and there you go, a kitty. 4. I'm writing a piece of John Mayer fan fiction to soothe myself. The reason I needed soothing was because my pipes froze, and there's nothing that makes you feel more helpless, more impoverished, than not being able to poop in your own house. That's also true. I might have experienced this. And because my house has flowered curtains and paintings of naked women and lots of candles, the situation is extra unbearable and humiliating. In my versions of stories, you have to imagine there are always lots of candles. Candles are a de facto setting detail for me in real life and fiction. My defense against the bone cold of January was a candlelit bath as hot as I could make it, but the weather took that from me. Alone, regarding the snow covering the thermometer planted in the yard, I watch the temperature drop when the north wind comes in. -5, -11, -26, it stops mattering. You can't fight sundog weather. I think of my favorite student, one of the ones I teach when I'm not waitressing, of a memory he told me when he was a boy, same kind of winter. They had no electricity, no propane, and no money to buy it, so they burned their furniture in a fire on the living room floor. Some people think we don't live like that here anymore, but rest assured that some of us still do. I still have heat and electricity. That's better than my ancestors who came here 100 years ago, who lived in a sod house. I have the blanket my student's grandmother gave me, so I cover myself in layers and I sleep as long as I can, 10, 11 hours, it stops mattering. I heard you aren't supposed to write about your dreams, but that's all I do. When I wake up, I'm astonished to be alive. I put on Born and Raised, my current, most soothing album. If I ever get around to living comes on and I think, sing it, Johnny, sing. If I ever get around to living, it's gonna be just like I dreamed. I'm gonna take the love I'm given and set it free. Then I remember about the John Mayer dreams. Then I judge myself for being creepy. Then I think, as an artist, maybe the most wild compliment you can get is showing up in some other artist's dreams.
Thank you, Natalie. You can see why that submission bubbled up to the top right there. So that was incredible. And I got to give kudos to my team. We are thrilled with the number of submissions that come in to Whitefish Review these days from literally all over the world now. And to have my team identify these gems and advance them through the stages, and Natalie's was one of those, and here we are today. So awesome work. All right, so we have a special treat here. We have the winner of the Montana Prize for Fiction in the room. He traveled from Boulder, Montana. Jeff Guay will read from his prize-winning story that was the final judge by our pal Rick Bass, and it's called Emerald Casino. He's going to read a selection from that. Jeff?
Thanks everyone for being here. This is amazing for me. I want to also say thank you to my wife and my mom who's in town, and thank you to Brian for making this happen in some pretty interesting circumstances, and Matt for helping with the editing, and also thank you, Rick. It was just a couple of conversations on the phone and some emails, but I don't know, I learned a lot, and that's why I do this, so thank you so much, I really appreciate it. And I also just want to say before I'm going to jump into the middle of this story, and the character's name is Bobbin, and my mom, who's here, reminded me that that is the nickname of her mother, my grandmother, and I just want to say that the real Bobbin would not probably approve of a lot of the fiction and Bobbin's behaviors, so it's just, as a writer, I'm always like desperate for cool names. So shout out Grandma Smythe, the late Bobbin. Okay, so let's see. And since, if you're like, oh, there's gonna be spoilers or whatever, you can, like we said earlier, buy the magazine and get the first half of the story. It's a 2-hour drive to Great Falls, the closest Gamblers Anonymous meeting. The highway crosses endless plain, smoke-choked in high summer light. The distant Boney Mountains, the Missouri River hiding in folds of prairie. This is how, several times a week, she stops at the gas station on the edge of Great Falls. To use the bathroom, she must walk past the black door to the Emerald Casino, and each time she thinks, glad that isn't me. Today, she sees a young woman go in the door. She's like a stone falling into a pond. It reminds Bobbin of her daughter, Cassie. It reminds her of herself before she got straight. She's quick to use the potty and leave without buying anything. The meeting is in a Lutheran church basement. It opens with the Serenity Prayer, then the preamble, then the steps, and finally the traditions. It's very much like her AA meetings. Give it over to God, yada yada. She knows the words by heart, but often forgets their meaning, tends to zone out for most of it. Yet there is some part of the arduous opening of a meeting that rings her bell, like a Buddhist hitting his little gong. Today, something in the preamble stirs her and reminds her why she's come. The idea that somehow, someday, we will control our gambling is the great obsession of every compulsive gambler. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it to the gates of prison, insanity, or death. She thinks again of that young woman at the Emerald, opening the black door, falling in like that stone into water. She remembers the lonesome feeling of being stuck at a gaming machine, and she thinks of Cassie, who's still out there, as the addicts say. Whenever Bobbin has a missed call, she hopes it will be from her daughter, and every time she walks into one of these meetings, she crosses her fingers that she'll see Cassie sitting there among the fellowship, ready to get better. My name is Hank, and I'm addicted to gambling. Hank is chewing gum. Bobbin knows him from previous meetings. He's a young man, a single father of 2 little kids who works at the post office. He's been trying to put his life back together. He says this every week, and he reminds everyone how hard it is. The room says, "Hi, Hank." Today, I got down on my knees and I prayed. Hank wears a hat with the image of a trout caught in a fly. His square face is made more square for the chewing of the gum. The sun was coming up, he says. An orange light filled my bedroom, and I got down on my knees and I said, "God, help me. I am a broken fucking dude." Hank talks for a while about how he doesn't bet anymore, he doesn't drink, but he's still got a lot of the addictive ways of thinking. People nod in agreement and thank him for sharing. Then John Wine speaks up. He's got one cloudy eye that does whatever it wants. His gray hair is folded, half-havered over a bald scalp. He's got a white yin-yang on his black shirt and a neon pink fanny pack around his waist where he apparently keeps his drugs. You know, John Wine says, I want to talk to you all about staying in the present moment. John and Bobbin have been looking at each other the whole meeting long. Every time he puts his cloudy eye on her, she looks at the floor. "Oh yeah," mumbles Roger in his wheelchair. "Present moment, yep." "The present moment isn't just this moment," says John. "People tend to think that staying in the present moment is like looking at the second hand of the clock, like the ninth edge of time, but it's not that. It has to do with the fact the past does not exist. It really doesn't. It's gone. Therefore, we can't get to it. Therefore, it does not exist. And the future isn't here yet, so it doesn't exist either. That means the present moment is everything. It's all of reality. It's the water that we live in. It's the sun, the mountains, the river. It's what's real. To be stuck in the past or to be obsessed with the future is to believe in something that isn't real. It's a form, in my humble estimation, of insanity. I once read that you can look at the past, says Fanny Howes, but you better not stare at it. A lot of grunting noises are made now to demonstrate agreement with Fanny. The other day, I was given my salsa bottle a shake, says Bella. I was mad as hell about something else, and I made a sandwich, and I wanted some salsa on it. So I'm shaking this bottle like hell. I'm getting more and more upset about something else entirely. And my husband looks at me and he says, Bella, the salsa bottle is staying still. It ain't been stirred at all. You're the one shaking. When the meeting is over, folks, put the folding chairs away. Old-timers top off their coffees. A woman named Leah Birkenrode approaches Bobbin. She's younger, probably in her early 50s, and only recently got sober. She hands Bobbin a card with her number on it. I'd love to chat sometime, says Leah. It's nice to meet other women in the program. Thank you, Bobbin says. I don't live in Great Falls, though. I'm way out in Constance. Oh, sure, I understand. A couple of us ladies are starting a women's group, is all. Not a formal meeting, just getting together for tea and hashing things out. Bobbin doesn't really want a new friend. And she doesn't want to sponsor anyone if that's what Leah's after. Thanks, she says. I just don't have a lot of time to invest in things like that. I like to drive home right after a meeting. That makes sense. You have my number, Leah says. She smiles and waves goodbye. It's a warm night back in Constance. She finds Chuck in his fenced yard, smoking a cigar, chasing his tiny dog around. Come here, Billy, he says, hunched over, cigar in mouth, both hands out to grab the dog. Come on, little Billy, you fucker. The dog yips in his high-pitched voice and runs over to the other side of the yard. What a genius boy that Billy is, Bobbin says, standing by the gate. Oh, he's smarter than most. Chuck looks at her, smiles. He has a shiny, bald head, a round stomach, and wears shorts and sandals. He forgets the dog and walks over to Bobbin. I love being retired, he says. Oh yeah? I've smoked 4 cigars today already. Goodness, Chuck, that's a lot. He opens the gate for her. Bobbin sneaks in quick as to not let Billy out. Chuck puts his hands to her short, sparse hair. It's growing in nice, dear, he says. It's growing in real nice. Don't touch me, she says, batting his hand away. We are broken up. Get that through your head. I know, Bobbin, I know. I just can't help myself. I'm sorry. Sorry, nothing. Bobbin looks over both shoulders before walking into the house with him. They sit on his love seat and make out for 20 minutes, hands all over each other. Enough, Bobbin says, pushing him off, turning her body away. Okay, he says. You know we aren't married. Chuck gives that a laugh. He puts a cigar in his mouth and lights it. Bobbin, we've had sex over 200 times since I moved to this town just last year. You've been keeping tallies? Just the first 200. I lost count since then. I'm an honest woman, Chuck, so you better keep me out of your perverted little ledger, damn you. You're a real nice gal, I know you are, Bobbin. But do you remember whose idea it was to grind corn on the carousel? It's true. Chuck was the carousel operator for the county fair last year. It's how Bobbin met him. She was volunteering for the craft competition and had finished putting out the prize ribbons when she saw him alone across the fairgrounds. In the center of the carousel hub, the toy stallions floating all about him. The sun hit a low angle and shone through the nearby cottonwoods, still in leaf but yellowing. Chuck and his horses lit up with brindled evening orange. He and Bobbin locked eyes. When the rides closed and all the families packed up and headed out, Bobbin walked over and asked if she could ride the ponies one more time. I remember the bronco that had gotten out of the rodeo pen, she says, now warm with reverie. That speckled Appaloosa in the moonlight, he walked right up to us. I'd have thought I was dreaming, but you saw it too. Chuck laughs. Yes, dear. That bronco gave me quite the surprise. She pictures it now, the carousel making its gentle revolution. Chuck inside her, the world spinning around them. It felt like love. The Appaloosa suddenly there in the moonlit grass, right at the moment of coming. The carousel turning once, twice, and then the horse gone. Do you think my hair looks all right? She asks. Touching her scalp, away from him, looking away from him. I do, Pop-Tart, I really do. Just about everyone in Constance got the virus last year, but it seems that Bobbin is the only one who lost her hair over it. Bradley, her brother, died. Alice's sister, Janet, never got her wind back and can hardly walk from her car to the mailbox. Stuart at the hardware store still can't smell anything. Bobbin only had a light fever and barely noticed getting sick, but a couple of weeks later, her hair started coming out in handfuls. I'll never marry you until you quit smoking, she whispers to Chuck. They're on the love seat. She's still looking away from him. And your sandals are an embarrassment. She leads him by the hand into his bedroom. They make love. The summer air through the window is warm and the bed becomes damp with their sweat. For a little while, he helps Bobbin forget herself. Chuck falls asleep in her arms, and Bobbin nods off for a while too, but then wakes. She's not good at sleeping. Her mind goes to Cassie. In sleepless nights like these, Mom and daughter used to go drinking and gaming together. Then Bobbin got sober. She hoped Cassie would too. Instead, Bobbin had to stop returning her daughter's calls 3 years ago. She'd listen to the message, quick to determine if Cassie was drunk or high, then delete them. After a while, the phone calls stopped. Last they spoke, Bobbin told her squarely to go to rehab or don't bother ever coming back to Constance. Cassie told her mother to go choke on a potato. Since then, that's been that. Bobbin gets out of Chuck's bed. The moon is heavy in the windows. She sneaks through the house, not wanting to wake up Billy. Chuck snores in the other room. Bobbin wonders if this might be the last night she spends with him. She walks through the yard to the gate, but Chuck is awake now and standing in the doorway. She turns to him. "Chuck, you're a nice enough guy," she whispers. "But this time, it's really over between us." "Okay, Bobbin," he says, loud, coughing, spitting, all for the benefit of the whole damn neighborhood. "But listen, maybe you're right. Maybe we ought to cut this off once and for all." Billy starts barking inside the house. Bobbin reaches for the gate handle but can't get it open. She quits it, looks at Chuck and points a finger at him. "You're the one who invited me over," she says, still whispering. With everything Bobbin has on her plate, it's not fair that he should get clever. She turns to the gate handle once more and is once more thwarted. She mutters, "Christ!" And Chuck comes over and opens it. "Have a nice life," she says. At late hours in Constance, there is nothing to do except drink at the bar. Bobbin walks past the tavern and all the hunched-shouldered young men standing on the front porch smoking. Through windows, she sees women her age playing Keno. They are too old to be out late and alone, fixed to the oblivion of gambling machines. She was once one of them, a lonely woman, yielding her dollars to the crazy leprechaun game until she had none more to give. 10 years sober now. No gaming, no booze, no cigarettes, no drugs. But the leprechaun, that ugly little shit, he still visits her dreams. Bobbin doesn't want to go home because she knows she won't be able to sleep. She looks at the gas station on the hill, which, after its renovation, will be open 24 hours. They will put a casino at its center, just like the Emerald in Great Falls. They'll have better machines, higher payout. There will be a newer, taller marquee standing on the top of the hill with a little madman leprechaun on it. Bobbin doesn't believe in God, not really, but she believes in the devil. She feels now that the devil is building that casino, digging up that ground, exhuming those bones. When it's done, the devil will erect his giant marquee with its gaudy red and green price of gas blazing across the night sky, and its endless invitation from the leprechaun. Her reputation of him will need ever to be renewed. He's calling to her already. She needs milk and is low on Tylenol. Maybe the teenager at the counter will be good conversation. Probably not. More likely, one night when the new facility is open, she'll walk up the hill, open the black door, order herself a cocktail and a bowl of peanuts, and place herself a bet. Now might be a good time for a bit of inspiration. Like the Appaloosa that once visited her in the revolution of the carousel, the way it seemed to appear and disappear like a ghost. But standing on the street corner of downtown Constance, she sees nothing. Just the shadow of elm canopy on the sidewalk, the swaying profile of limber pine across the night sky. Bobbin wakes at the kitchen table, well after sunrise. She rubs her eyes and looks out the window. The summer morning is already bright. A hopeless feeling overtook her last night. In daylight, less so. Maybe Chuck will take her back. If she explains herself. She might even agree to say sorry if he says so first. Bobbin fingers her pocket, looking for a mint. Instead, she pulls out Leah Birkenrode's business card. She's known the task of her life for a while now, to see the small things through the day that are good. to understand that she has a spiritual disease called addiction, that she must live one day at a time, blah, blah, blah. Easier said than done. Still, she thinks about all that needs doing. A pile of newspapers at the archives to sort, an AA meeting later in the afternoon, and she's volunteered to make coffee. Perhaps Alice could use a hand with her quilt. She knows Cassie will not be calling today. Her daughter is not ready and may never be. Leah Birkenrode, though, she reached out. Doesn't that count for something? Bobbin could try to sleep a few more hours, but she'd probably just lie in bed with her eyes open. Better to get out there, she thinks, and see what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. That was incredible. Before we circle back to Rob Quist, we have a final treat for you. We're going to introduce you to Toby Scott. We're just going to pull some chairs over, move this podium, and I'll tell you a little bit about Toby in one moment. So, this is a real treat. Toby has a piece of nonfiction in this issue, and Toby is a music recording engineer. Here's Toby. Thanks for being here, buddy. Center seat, hot seat, yeah. And Toby has worked extensively with Bruce Springsteen, recording and mixing albums since 1980. He's received nominations and awards for Grammy, Emmy, and Oscar organizations. And now, in his local studio, he records everything from local bands to the symphony. So his story in this issue, again, we're trying to do a hard sell on you to buy the music issue here, is From Pawn Shop to the Promised Land. And it's about a gift that he gave to Bruce Springsteen that wound up in the Music Hall of Fame. So super cool story. Thanks for sending it to us. It was one of the earlier stories that we reviewed for this issue. Just to get things going, how did you start working with Bruce Springsteen?
Well, I was a engineer at a studio in Hollywood, and the producer who owned the studio had been working with Bruce in New York on the Darkness on the Edge of Town album in 1978. And he had been there far too long, and so he moved out to California to his studio, and I was there for the mixing of one of the songs on the Darkness album. And I met him. I was very casual. I was, for some reason, I've always been unimpressed with fame, and got actually chastised for the fact that Bruce wanted to get a hamburger at like 11 o'clock at night in the studio, and I said, oh, we'll just walk over 2 blocks off the street like that. And this is Santa Monica Boulevard, Vine. Not a great part of town, but okay. I didn't feel it was bad. And he went over there, and his manager came in and goes, where's Bruce? And I go, oh, he wanted to get a hamburger, so I sent him over there, and he was like, what? Oh my God. And he came back. Bruce is a big boy. And then a couple of years later, he came back to mix the River album. And after an unsuccessful attempt with another engineer, talked into me doing it, and I passed the test and went on to mix the River album. And we became pretty good friends according to that time. It took a lot of, well, River was a double album, so it was 23 songs or something like that. And it took a long time, and we kept doing it. And so I met him, and we became pretty good friends.
We're gonna ping pong.
Oh.
And what kind of guy is Bruce?
Well, actually, never met him, right? Yeah, he's very nice. During the mixing of the river, I had a chance to really get to know him. We actually changed our recording schedule from starting at noon, I believe, and going until 4 or 5 in the morning, to starting at 3 in the afternoon, 3 or 4, and we would meet at a local health club and actually work out together and play racquetball, and you know, and drive, and we'd go out to lunch and things like that. And during the course of time, our doing this, I one time said, "Well, geez, you write a lot of songs about cars. Doing that, are you like a car guy?" He goes, "No. You don't have to do it to know what it feels like." I was like, "Oh, wow." And if you listen through to his albums, that's very true. You know, he was never a migrant worker in the Southern California area cooking meth. And, you know, he was never any of those characters, but he understood the human, I guess, psyche or the human condition. And that's just the way he is. But he's also a very nice guy. I have never seen him raise his voice. He's always very calm, like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, that's probably, all right, well, we'll fix that." Very nice, very good to work with, and I enjoyed all of my years with him, which was 38 and a half.
That's a lot of years.
I didn't realize it, and actually, you know, I met him in '78, and I parted company with him to go out on my own in 2018, I think it was, and I was like, wow, I never realized it was that amount of time. It was, as the saying goes, time flies when you're having fun. And I can attribute it to the fact that I've worked, but I don't feel that I've ever worked a day in my life. Well, before getting into music, I did work at dishwasher and whatever else.
So one of the local legend stories, obviously, is when Springsteen was in town, jumped up on the stage of the Great Northern Bar with the Fanatics and played Mustang Sally, I think it was. I missed it. I was frequenting the Northern a lot at the time and happened to not be there that night. But do you have any other anecdotes about, I don't know, just kind of the man, the myth, like Bruce? I mean, it seems pretty cool that he would just, you know, he's in Whitefish, Montana, and he jumps up and plays with the local band.
Well, that wasn't unusual. I was at the Great Northern. We had a sort of a pre-wedding reception dinner that evening up at Hillroy, and after the dinner he goes, "Where's the place? Come on, we got to do something." So I said, "Well, let's go to the Great Northern." So we all went down there, and he was out on the floor dancing and everything like that, and he's not a presumptive individual, and so he didn't want to approach the band about playing. It ended up that one of the roadies that I had invited was there, and he coordinated the whole thing. He went off the band, he goes, "You know, Bruce is in the audience." It's like, he loves to play. You know, and the guy said, "Yeah, we're fine, we've got a guitar, we've got an amp, we're ready to go." And I was with my, that evening, fiance, and I said, "You want to stay? He's probably going to play." And she said, "No, seen him before." And so we left at like, you know, midnight or something, and eventually they did put it together, and he got up and played at, I think he started at like 10 of 1 or something like that, and the place became packed. If you're familiar with the Northern, there's packed, and then there's sardines. Evidently, from what I've heard, because I wasn't there, it was wall-to-wall people from the stage back to the back wall, including people standing on chairs and the bars, and outside looking in through the window. He played for about 20 minutes, and the bartender became concerned because the place was packed, and it's like 20 after 1. He's like, oh my God, all these people. How am I going to get them out of here? So he sent word to the stage, Bruce, you got to cut it off. We got to end this show because we can't have the crowd in here at 2 o'clock in the morning. The ABC or whatever will close us down. And so he sent the thing up there, and so we said, okay, you know. And he played another song, and this is by rumor. I've heard this from several people. Bruce announced, okay folks, this is our last song, and they played the song, and he goes, all right, everybody, they said we got to clear out of here, so let's empty the place out. 5 minutes later, it was a ghost town. The friend of mine who was the bar manager said, God, if I knew he had that much control over the crowd, I would have let him play right up till 5 to 2. But he didn't, but it was quite an epic adventure, and Bruce really enjoyed Whitefish. So much so that was a Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday, I went into the Great Northern and went up to the bar. I was doing something, and the bartender goes, hey, were you here trying to find Bruce? And I said, no. He goes, oh, well, he was in here a few minutes ago. He was having a beer down at the end of the bar, just talking to some guy. And then he ended up walking down the street, and he ended up staying. He was due to fly in Saturday, go to the reception, go to my wedding on Sunday, and then leave on Monday. He didn't leave till Wednesday. He felt so at home and comfortable because, as those of you know, you walk around Whitefish and people don't care if you're like the next door neighbor or super famous. And he really enjoyed that, and he had a good time. So.
That was great. Okay, so over 38 years, you worked on some legendary albums. Is there a favorite there? Do you have some memories? Is there one album that stands out over the others?
Well, yes. Recently, I noticed on a television special, there was an interview with Bruce, and he said his favorite album was Nebraska, which Nebraska is a story which I have actually written and published it for a couple of trade magazines, in which he had his guitar tech get a 4-track cassette player, 4-track cassette recorder, and he recorded all of Nebraska. They ended up mixing it down to a boombox, and it was, the performance was so unique through a number of extenuating circumstances that he could never reproduce it. And so in the studio, there was a point in time when he goes, I can't play these songs, they just don't sound as good. Toby, can we master from this? And he pulls out of his front pocket of his jeans the cassette, not in a box, that he's been carrying around for 6 months in his front pocket. And I go, yes. What should we do? And I go, well, I got to transfer it to a modern piece of tape. Here, throws it over to me. That was his favorite album. Mine was the one 2 albums later. After that, we completed Born in the USA. And after Born in the USA, we actually did Live 75 to 85, which was a 4-album set of songs from 1975 through 1985. And then a short time after that, he gets a hold of me and he goes, do we have some recording equipment? Yes, we do. Because shortly after the whole Nebraska and Born in the USA, he said, I want to do some demos. I can't use that cassette player, can I? No. So I set him up with a multi-track system and taught his guitar tech at the time how to use it. But he says, well, we got this recording equipment, can we use it? Yes. I set it up, and in January of 1987, we started recording an album called Tunnel of Love. And he asked me prior to recording this, he goes, can you use a drum machine? And I said, yeah. You know, synthesizers and those sort of keyboards? I'm like, yeah. So he goes, okay, great. We set it up. We did all of the songs on that album, and I played a drum machine. I'm unfortunately uncredited. But I did play the drums on that. There's a few instances. And then he played guitar, bass, keyboards, and other instruments through modern technology. And at the end of it, we were all done. He goes, oh, that's pretty good, but I got a band, and they're not on it. So we called in each of the band members to replace their parts if they could. And if you look to this date on the album, Tunnel of Love, each song is individually credited, and most of them say Bruce Springsteen, all instruments. And then it'll be like Gary Talent bass, Max Weinberg tambourine, or something like that. And they didn't succeed in most cases. But that album was a very good album to work on. He and I worked together, and near the end of it, we were driving off to some pizza place to get something to eat, and he goes, that was my best album. Not referring to it as the songs or anything, but he enjoyed the fact that he did not have to deal with 6 other players. So that when he would perform a song for the band, say, all right guys, this is my song, and each of them would figure out their own part. Well, that part wasn't necessarily the part that he wanted to be played. So in this case, he played all the parts, I recorded it, and he really liked it. And I particularly liked it as well because it was very pristine of a recording. There wasn't a lot of chaos as far as guitars thundering and things. It was not a Born to Run or anything like that. And so that was my favorite album, Tunnel of Love.
Wow, we could keep going, but I'm going to invite you all to grab Toby, chat with him, ask him the Springsteen questions. If you want a poster signed from any of our authors or Toby, gather some autographs tonight too. It's always fun to get books signed. We're going to bring Rob Quist up here, but please read Toby's story, and thank you, Toby. And while Rob gets set up to play this very special song on the magic guitar, I'm going to invite Bass up here to say a few words. While Rob gets set with the guitar. Rick, are you out there? There you are. Rick's going to kind of just set the scene. A lot of the music issue has to do with this guitar, about climate, about music, and the Montana Project. Rick.
The Whitefish Review issue, which is always the best party of the year. It's you got there yourself, Ryan and Lindsay and the team. Rob and Dave, thanks for starting things on the music issue. Thank you for the trombone lessons. Horns are not given enough time. It's always strings. Thank you for that. Thank you for the cliffhanger idea about buying the Whitefish Review, leaving the Summer of Love for being later. Yeah, read about it. It reminds me of what the defensive lineman for the Detroit Lions back in the 50s and 60s, Alex Karras. Back then, being a pro football player was not a good job. You had to go have summer jobs. And what Karras did in the summer was sell Bibles door to door. And he was not good at it. And he was desperate one day. He was trying to sell, the Bible. And he just couldn't make the sale. And it's kind of like us trying to sell Whitefish Review. We've got to sell this thing to stay alive. But He said, so I was trying to close the door on him. He said, wait a minute. This one is different. And the guy said, what do you mean different? Well, when they rolled away the boulder at the cave, who do you think's sitting there behind the boulder? The boulder's brass. I don't know. For $24.95, you can find out. So I really like the Summer of Love cliffhanger. And, great Natalie. I don't know what John Mayer, I don't know who he is or what he ever did to you, but I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. And Jeff, thanks for your words. Both of being a fiction writer is kind of weird. You look for connections where there really aren't any, but Natalie had this great line in there that really captures what it's like to be a Montanan. Like, you just want to poop in your own house. If people from the outside knew how hard that is sometimes, they'd stay away. And then Jeff brought it home again with the poop theme. A great night of art and illumination. Rob, thank you for defending this ancient forest that the guitar comes from, writing, a song. A lot about Whitefish Review is art and illumination, and we've got, as activists, we've gotten a lot of our inspiration from Whitefish Review, that art can stop bulldozers, and art can change the world, and that's when Brian and Lindsay started Whitefish Review. They said, should we call it the Montana this or something instead of Whitefish stuff? No, it's from Whitefish, it's place-based, and what a funny little word Whitefish was back once upon a time, and now it's like, it might as well be the Aspen Chronicles or something. But, it is still so specific, and landscape is the constant in sickness and in health, and in despair and joy. And we're going to defend this forest with art and joy and beauty. And, this piece on the top of the guitar is 315-year-old spruce. Breedlove Guitars made this beautiful guitar out of it. She's 3 months old, and she knows Rob's voice and Rob's song, and she's learning what matters to us. And, thank you for teaching it to her, Rob.
Now, to give you a little history, when Rick contacted me about this, of course, a little history first. When I was running for the U.S. House of Representatives, and Rick put together a group of writers. Let's see, where's that other microphone? I think it's feeding back. Turn it off. There you go. Okay.
There's a sound check in the house. Anyone familiar with recording and microphone?
But when I was running for the U.S. House of Representatives, Rick put together a group of writers with a magazine called We Take Our Stand in support of my candidacy, and that really meant the world to me. Thank you, Rick, for doing that. And we don't really, we need to understand that Montana is so special because almost a third of our state is public lands. And I've traveled in all the states in the Union, and many other states have totally lost their access to public lands. In some states, you have to travel 100 miles just to find a place to recreate. So we can't let go of how important these wildlands are to us. So when Rick told me about this project that they're doing about taking wood from this and getting it to a good luthier, I thought that was really a marvelous way instead of just having the normal public meetings. And so I might have to turn this down a little bit. It's pretty ringing. Let me try it anyway. So anyway, musicians, instruments will speak to musicians, but this one, these instruments really speak to me, and I just had to write a song from the voice of this instrument. It started to tell me these instruments. They told me their stories about how they were made and about becoming a voice for the entire forest. So this is called See the Forest for the Trees, which is our expression about seeing the big picture. magical story, one you all truly need to hear, of this guitar newly made. And when I struck a chord, I heard her whisper in my ear. She said I was a spruce tree in the forest green, cut down by the lumberjack blade, given to a craftsman, a worker of wood, a vaunted master of his trade. He made my body in the shape of a woman's form, with strings that looked like golden hair. Tuned me up, and now that I have found my voice, there's something that I need to share. And it's a tale that's been told too many times before. It could bring you to your knees. The hour is late, time is slipping away. Can you not see the forest for the trees? Will we ever see the forest for the trees? Then she said, I am the voice of a legion of Engelmann spruce. We've watched centuries come and go. Still they mean to cut us all down. But before they do, there's something that you all should know. You could not live on this earth without us. We make the air you breathe just to survive. You come to find peace in our presence, to escape the mad rush of your lives. We are the oldest living beings on planet Earth. We'll be here long after you've gone, unless you fail to see our intrinsic worth in what we bring to this universal song. And it's a tale that's been told too many times before. It could bring the forest to his knees. The hour is late, time is slipping away. Can you not see the forest for the trees? Will we ever see the forest for the trees? So now that you know the story, I hope these words were not spoken in vain. By now you must know they have the right to life, should never have to die in pain. So I plead with all of you who hear my voice, rise up, let's make a new stand. Have compassion for the lives in this forest green. Save them from despoiling hands. Then one day when the storm is come and gone, a new sun rises to shine. Come once again, rest beneath these limbs, breathe in the fragrance of the pines. And it's a tale that's been told too many times before. It could bring this country to its knees. The hour is late, time is slipping away. Can you not see the forest for the trees? Will we ever see the forest? It's a tale that's been told too many times before. It could bring you all to your knees. The hour is late, time is slipping away. Can you not see the forest for the trees? Will we ever see the forest for the trees?
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone for being here. We'll have more Rob Quist and Dave Griffiths hang out with us. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it so much. We do have a raffle happening. What's the story, Lynn?
We're doing 5 tickets for $20 for the prints, or a book, or a t-shirt. T-shirts are now probably everyone's t-shirt.
If you want a raffle, we'll announce the raffle in 20 minutes if you want a raffle ticket. And while these guys play a couple tunes.
Summer band. Challenge. My folks are kind of getting and survive on their own. So it's like networking more than ever.
Washed out at the bottom of the hill. Baby creeks up in the little creek snuggle. I pop my corn with the double on the shovel. Stay all night singing and a longer dance all night. Dance a little longer. Put off your coat, throw them in the corner. Let's see why he don't stay a little longer. Singing to my dog, slop like a fan from the big dog. Reeling the grass up a big. So the baby mother bee, stay all night, singing and a longer dance all night. Dance a little longer, pull off your coat, throw them in the corner. See why he don't stay a little longer. goodness sake.
Time for raffle. We're doing these one. I've got a ticket to the so you can hear us. All right, first we'll raffle off the book, this issue. Okay, the first number is 462916. Last number is 16. Hey, woohoo! This issue of the Whitefish Review. Awesome, well done. All right, next t-shirt. All right, no cheating. Next number is for the t-shirt. This number is 462915.